What's up, everybody? Welcome to Mick Thinks Tiny. My name is Mick. So a few weeks ago, if you remember, I did a video on one of Amazon's newest tiny homes. Unfortunately, that turned out to be a scam. Today, we're actually going to talk about another one of their tiny houses. We're going to put it to the scammer test. We basically want to find out if you can actually get this tiny home or if it's essentially a fake. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe and let's get into it. Let's check out this luxury 2-story tiny house on Amazon. All right, welcome back. So today we're talking about a luxury 2-story tiny house on Amazon. I think this is going to keep popping up because I see, more and more articles about tiny houses on Amazon. I wanted to make sure that this one was actually legit because it also looks really nice. So again, I found an article. This was through Yahoo. So I saw this article. It said the stunning tiny house on Amazon is made for entertaining people. It's got 2 balconies. It's got 2 patios. The pictures are beautiful. As you can see here, it's a really cool looking tiny house with like double decks. Like there's a deck on the back, there's a deck on the front, really cool wood features, recessed lighting. Like it's gorgeous. So I wanted to make sure that it was real before I went and made a video and talked to you guys about something that turns out to be a scam. So let's check it out. So I went and I checked it out. Basically the specs on the home are that it's a 40-foot 2-story tiny house on Amazon. It's expandable. I think they used the word foldable at one point, but we'll just stick with expandable. It's about 630 inches deep, 472 inches wide, 113 feet tall, again 40 feet. There's also a 20-foot model, but we're going to focus on the 40-footer. It's prefab steel and wood. It says it's pre-wired for all your utilities, so like plumbing, electric. It's got AC, wiring, all those things are set up. It comes with a built-in toilet. I'm not really sure what that means, so if you're familiar with this kind of language in the prefab space, if this is legit, drop a comment. I'd love to hear from you guys based on your experiences. It also said it was a quick install, 40,000 pounds, and it was listed for $47,999. Now, I wanted to make sure it was the actual house and not just a design, because there are plenty of people who are selling designs for tiny homes all over the place online, and those are legit. But it says that you are actually going to get a unit that is 40 feet. It's steel, stainless steel, it actually says, and it's about 40,000 pounds. So they are, in fact, selling the tiny house itself. So I was like, all right, this is, maybe this is legit, and it's really nice. So I did the reverse image searches and all that sort of stuff. So I'll show you guys everything that comes up with that in a minute. But I wanted to check out the actual parent company, if you will, because from what I could see in the article, they were just listing it as a generic tiny house with no brand. And when you go and you click on the link in the article, it says generic tiny house and there's no brand. So I had to scroll through the actual listing on Amazon, and I found that it was shipped and sold by a company called Expo Groups. So I was like, okay, this is the parent company, Expo Groups. So I was like, let's check out the whole website models agreement. It's a lot of work to go through and do this every single time, but I think it's worth it. And after a while, for those of you who are watching, if you've seen the other videos, it'll become second nature to just sort of like think of these different things and take the time to go through and check out their website and things like that. So when you go to the Amazon storefront page for Expo Groups, this is what you get. They've got quite a few items. They've got a $6,000 luxury hot tub available. They've got other expandable, prefab 40-foot tiny homes. You can scroll all the way down. There's a couple of pages. So I wanted to take a look at a couple of the items on there. Not too many of them. Generally, if one's fake, they're all going to be fake. And there are some things that you can just sort of flag in your minds, like, okay, this is really unlikely that this is legit. So I checked out the initial model. So the first one was called the Cherry Industrial Mobile House. So that's the home on the left. This is actually a tiny home that's an Airbnb made by Creative Cabins in Ohio. So first up, the first one in the article through Yahoo, not real, it's not theirs. They copied this from somewhere else, and they copied all the photos. So if you remember the photo I showed you of the interior, that one as well is copied too. So all of it is from the Creative Cabins website. When you can click book now, this is actually called the Parker home. So all these photos are interior photos from this home. It's a real home in Ohio. It's got reviews through their sort of like Airbnb type site. So I think the one reason why they were able to do this is because it's not an actual house for sale from like a builder that you would flag. So when I did the Google image search, you had to look at quite a few to see that it was Creative Cabins. but is in fact stolen from Creative Cabin's website. And this is the exact photo that they have on their site when you go to book the home. The home is, you can rent it for about $400 a night as opposed to this $48,000. So they are selling, they're trying to sell a tiny house that isn't theirs from a company based out of Ohio as an Airbnb. So I was like, okay, let's check out some of the other ones. They've got other, models, if you will, on their Amazon storefront page. The one on the left is one I found scrolling a little bit down. It's a rendering. I know it's a rendering. You can tell, because it just looks like a standard rendering photo. So I wanted to see if, the rendering was in fact theirs or they had taken that from somewhere too. I actually couldn't find it. So I found a lot of rendering images on a lot of different websites that look similar to it. The one on the right is the closest I could find from another company. But that company kind of seems a little bit suspicious too. So I think this rendering photo works at $28,999. It's a lower price point, and it's, I don't know, maybe it sort of falls in that category of like, okay, so maybe they're building it right now. So, and the rendering does look nice, but there's a lot of different versions of this photo online through a lot of different sites, third party and things like that. Some seem like not legit as well too. So it seems like there might be like a string of rendering scams happening online. So if you know anything about this, definitely drop it in the comments because I haven't really seen this too much. The rendering piece, I figured it was fake because it's a rendering, but I was surprised to see that there's tons of rendering photos of tiny homes being sold as the actual home or as a plan. So on the left, the Expo Groups on Amazon was selling it as a tiny home. They're saying that it will come, it's expandable again, it's $29,000 about, but the company on the right was selling it as a plan for $200, or $2,000, so it's a little bit different. So we can conclude that Expo Groups on Amazon is in fact a scam. They stole photos from other websites and Airbnb/rentals. They changed the name for the homes. If you notice from the other photo, they actually used the same name. So when you went to the description part for this tiny home here, it was the same exact description. So this was a Cherry Industrial Mobile House as well too, which is obviously a red flag. They're using the same, they're just copying the same description. And then there's no reviews. So I went and looked at to find out more information and I couldn't find any reviews. And when I looked at the background information on the Amazon seller, it said that they were just launched. So it said just launched right underneath the name. It did have a person's name and shipping, mailing address. So I don't know what that was about, but no reviews and it's definitely brand new. So my main question when I was doing this and thinking about this was, are people actually buying these homes? So one answer I've got is yes, because I did see an article online where a woman had sent $12,000 to a seller on Amazon to get one of these expandable homes and it never arrived. So there are people who are actually paying at least $12,000 and hoping to get a home back. But, overall, this is kind of what we've talked about before. So the sticker shock in the tiny house industry makes these a lot more attractive. Something that high end and luxurious, to get it at $48,000 for some people might feel like, okay, that's a good price. And so, it may make them more likely to send the money. Maybe it's a situation where you don't have to pay the whole thing. I'm not really sure because I haven't tested it out to reach out to one of them and pretend to be a buyer. I don't really want to be deceptive on my own, but I am curious to see if there's sites like this on Amazon where there's actual reviews, because so far I can't find any. The main thing is the photos though. It's the photos and the designs, and then unfortunately Instagram and even YouTube, here on YouTube, social media is definitely making it so people are going to be more likely to trust these images and trust these sellers. I don't know how many of you actually look to see who the seller is when you're looking at stuff on Amazon, but it was, it's pretty far down. You have to scroll a bit, because it just said generic, and then you have to scroll through and see who it's sold and shipped from. And a lot of us are used to Amazon having third-party sellers and things like that, so it's not out of the ordinary to see, some random name. But for something like this, you definitely have to check and make sure. So it does bring up the question that I've talked about before, is can you regulate the industry? But in this case, we're talking about regulating an online space. What do you do about the Amazon seller process? Not in no disrespect to Amazon, but they're clearly not creating a system where they're vetting these sellers because they just created their profile recently. They're tossing up photos that aren't theirs, and they can, take people's money. There's really nothing to prevent them from scamming people at this point. But you have similar things happening. You know, if Walmart sells tiny homes online, Home Depot's got it too. You have third-party sites like Alibaba, which I saw, which has like plenty of images. Some of them seem like they were potentially legit. Some of them seem like renderings. So unfortunately, at this point, it's kind of all coming down to you all and consumer awareness. But I want to know what you think. Have you come across any of these Amazon seller pages where it seems like people have actually bought anything? Would this work on you? Like if the price was much lower, let's say it's like 10K, would you be willing, or, you know, can you see a scenario where you would actually give someone on Amazon $10,000 and hope that they would deliver, you know, send you a home? On the delivery end, that's where I'm like kind of like trying to figure out what people's thought process are with like, how is this 40,000 pound object going to be delivered to your home? But there are people who are getting the expandable homes on Amazon too. So I don't know. What do you think? I appreciate you guys taking the time to listen to this. You know, I feel like, you know, again, like I said at the beginning of the video, this is going to keep happening, but I think it's important to go through and just confirm that they are in fact scammers. So in this case, it's definitely a scam. I think the last thing I'll say about this is that if you see articles talking about homes on Amazon, don't assume that the person that's, you know, written the article has done any research to vet it. I think that's the thing that I was kind of surprised by, is like, you know, someone took the time to go through and make an entire article about it, but they didn't think about whether or not that house was real. So we have a lot of trust in these bigger companies. You know, you see Amazon, Walmart, Home Depot, and you assume everything within there is legit, but that's definitely not the case, is what we're finding out. So yeah, want to know what you guys think. Drop a comment. I appreciate you guys taking the time to listen to this. Make sure you subscribe if you're new, and check out the other videos if you haven't already. The other scam videos, the other Amazon videos. It's just great resource for those of you who are looking to go tiny as you do your research and continue to be as vigilant as possible so that you don't lose out on money. If you have questions, you can always reach out. Send me an email at makethinkstiny@gmail.com, and don't forget to think tiny. I'll see you guys in the next one.